Good evening, everyone. It's now 6 p.m. and the August 5th City Council meeting will come to order. Today's invocation is presented by Councilmember Frank Bankert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Heavenly Father, we come together in your name, grateful for the opportunity to gather together. We thank you for keeping our city safe over yesterday's storm with minimal damage. We thank you for the dedicated workers of this city who assisted your people in prepping for the storm. We humbly ask for your guidance and wisdom as we discuss the matters at hand. Grant us the clarity of thought and compassion of heart to make decisions that honor you and benefit all the people of Bel Air Beach. In Jesus' name, your Son, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Renee, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Bankert.
Present.
Councilmember Lloyd Roberts.
Here.
Councilmember Kim Shaw Elliott.
Present.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Here.
City Manager Kyle Riefler.
Here.
And City Attorney Randy Mora.
Present.
All right. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion is made by Councilmember Bankert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Roberts. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Now we move on to citizen comments. If anyone would like to address the council about a topic not already on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be called on. Yes, you limit your time to no more than 3 minutes, and remember to direct all questions and comments to the council. Would anyone like to speak? All right, seeing as we have none, citizen comments are now closed. Now we are on to item 3, which is a presentation from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, beginning with a monthly law enforcement report.
Good evening, Council. I'm Sergeant Bolton with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and this evening I'm going to present to you the June of 2024 monthly analysis. I believe you have already received this report. I am pleased to report there have been any violent crimes in the city, no murder, sexual offenses, or robberies. There was one assault that occurred that was, incredibly, that was over an incident with hose that escalated into threats of violence to the person that was involved. So that's one isolated incident. No burglaries, no larcenies, or motor vehicle thefts. I'm pleased to report that also. So far for the year, it looks like we're doing pretty good. There were several arrests in the city, though, and the vast majority of these were actually traffic-related offenses, including drunk drivers and folks that don't have a license. One person was found with a warrant in the city. They were also arrested on several other charges. The warrant was actually for a drug charge, and they were actually found in possession of drugs. All right, and then the vast majority of our activity for our deputies were proactive activity, including traffic stops, directed patrols, items that are of importance to the citizens or specific to the city, and then also parking violations notated under vehicle abandoned and illegally parked calls for service. And then also including house checks for folks that are still out of town. All right, there was one crash that occurred in the city. That was a result of, there was a DUI also, but overall the crash itself was very minor and no injuries in there. Also, since this is the June report, I looked at activity from July 1st to today. There haven't been any major crashes since July 1st. I'm also pleased to report that we haven't had any armed person encounters or drownings or even homicides in the city since July 1st also. And that concludes my reports. Do I have any questions?
Thank you, Sergeant. Council, do we have any questions for Sergeant? Yes, sir.
Just my condolences on the loss of that deputy in Lake County, Michael Bradley.
Thanks, sir.
28 years old. I just don't think a lot of people appreciate what you guys put yourself in front of every day.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
God bless all of us.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No, sir.
No?
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Sergeant. I appreciate you being here tonight. Next up, we're on to the monthly code enforcement report. Deputy Trump. doing tonight, sir?
Good evening, sir. I'm Deputy Trump with Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and I am your code enforcement officer. Sorry about that. We had a little bit busier month this month. We had 60 entries in here. The majority of it is because of the time of the year, obviously, as you know, long grass, weeds in the front yard, overgrown trees, plants and shrubbery encroaching over into right-of-ways, things like that, or over people's fences and stuff like that. That's really the majority of it. We've conducted 5 different beach patrols out on the ATV. No violations. Everybody's been happy out on the beach. So we did those. Other enforcements, I had 10 entries, which include everything from meetings, area checks, directed patrols that I've been doing, follow-ups that wouldn't have any other further action. And I had an FIR of a gentleman that was found behind City Hall here one afternoon. He actually approached me and needed a little bit of assistance, a little bit of help with some shelter, so I helped him out with that. Other than that, it's been very minor with some clutter, problems with clutter in the front yards or on the side yards and stuff. We addressed those, talked to the people. They've been taking care of those. We've talked to a couple of construction sites that were getting a little bit out of hand as far as debris sitting in the front yards, grass, tall grass, things like that. There's silk fences down. They took care of those immediately with no problems there. And then we had 2 short-term rentals that we actually closed one case, and another one's still under investigation.
Thank you. Can you tell me what streets those short-term rentals were on?
One was on the corner of Gulf Boulevard and, Gulf Boulevard and Causeway Boulevard here. And the other one is still under investigation. Unless you really want it, I'd kind of like to keep that
No, that's
as
fine.
a, so.
All right. And I definitely appreciate you doing other duties that are not on your job description. This is very helpful. Council, any questions for the deputy? Yes, sir.
This isn't our jurisdiction, but it faces our neighborhood. Bel Air Shores, around 400 or 500 block. There is such an overgrown lot. It's actually growing into the streets now.
Yep, I am well aware of that one. I've been working on it. The problem is that you're talking about where they tore down the house.
Correct.
They tore down the house. I've been trying to find the actual owners of the property now, because that property had gotten sold. Obviously, the new contractors came in, so I am aware of it. I've been working with the clerk with the city of Bel Air Shore. She's working on it. She's trying to find out any records or anything else that she can through the county of who's contracting with this thing or who technically owns it. And we're kind of in a mix right now, but I'm well aware of it, and I have been working on that one.
I'm just saying, I'm getting complaints from our, because I see it, I said, it's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that's been complaining about it, so
I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it.
absolutely, yeah. I'm well aware, I've been one of the ones complaining on it, and Mary with Bel Air Shore, she's been furiously working, and we're still investigating, trying to find out exactly who belongs to it, so. The other lot, the one fence lot, the vacant lot, we're able to get that one cut down again, and he assures me he's gonna try and get out there on a regular basis and keep that one down.
Any other questions or comments for Deputy Trump? No? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up, we have a presentation for the Pinellas Suncoast Fire and Rescue District by Chief Jeffrey Davidson. How you doing, Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Throughout Tropical Storm Debbie, we did very well. District-wide, we responded to 33 storm-related calls. We were in contact with Kyle throughout the incident to address any needs of Bel Air Beach. My admin team, we were on duty from Friday night through this morning, and we upstaffed the fire rescue with 1 additional fire rescue suppression unit, and we had a high water vehicle, 2 high water vehicles that we put into service for that event in Bel Air Beach. There were luckily only 3 emergencies throughout the storm, 2 electrical hazards and 1 water rescue. Throughout the month of July, into Bel Air Beach, there were 17 calls for emergency services, which included motor vehicle crashes, medical emergencies, 1 residential fire, and a fuel spill. We're happy, very happy, and we want to invite you to participate. After a 2-year building process, we recently took delivery of a brand-new custom-built fire engine. And this Thursday at 6 p.m., we're going to be hosting a ceremony. We do what's called a housing ceremony or a washdown ceremony. It's a ritual in the fire department to bless the fire truck and the firefighters to keep them safe. That's going to be at our Indian Rock Station this Thursday at 6 p.m., and everyone is welcome to attend. The current plan is to place that new fire engine at the new northern location when construction is complete in about 24 months approximately from now. We should be closing on that property in the next 3 weeks, so I'll keep you updated on that. Throughout the storm, we did not evacuate the beaches. We worked out of our headquarters, and because we didn't have to evacuate, we did stand up an EOC, which is not our permanent EOC, but we didn't activate it and go over there. We stayed on the beaches. Our mainland station, where we're going to be building an emergency operations center, we had another design meeting today. In about 2 weeks, we'll be at the 30% design phase, and that's when we'll apply for the permits, and construction should take about 11 months once we get the permits. So we'll keep you updated on that as well. Any questions for me?
Council, any questions? No. All right, and that is on August the 8th.
August 8th, it's 6 p.m. It's at 304 First Street in Indian Rocks Beach. Everyone's welcome. We'll have some light refreshments there, and I hope to see you there. What we do is, it's a ritual. We take the retiring fire truck, we take some of the water out of that tank and spray down the new truck, and then we have the community, we get together and we dry it, and then we push it, it's in gear in reverse, so we push it back into the bay and it's ready for service. And that goes back to the history of fire trucks when they were drawn by horses. When the steam engines were drawn by horses, when they would get a new engine, they would do the same thing. So we carried on that tradition for many, many, many years. So we hope to see you there.
And you're going to push that thing.
Yes, sir. I work out.
All right, Chief, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate the
Thank you.
update. All right, now we are on to item 5, which is the city attorney report. Mr. Moore, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the last week, the city received a summary judgment order on a suit that had been filed in 2021, alleging constitutional law violations. The city and its individual officials in that were, the suit against them was dismissed, or judgment was entered in their favor. That remains subject to the possibility of an appeal, but that's the present posture of that.
Mr. Moore, can you get a little closer to your microphone?
Sorry, Madam Clerk. Just stating that the city and the individuals sued in a suit brought back in 21 concerning alleged constitutional law violations concluded with an order in the city in the defendant's favor last week. That judgment remains subject to appeal. We'll update you, of course, as that progresses, should anything further develop. Other than that, we continuing to evaluate some of the outflow from the legislative session that just concluded and Supreme Court session and how it influences some of the policies here in the city. And I'm working with your manager and clerk on those issues. Should any of you be attending the Florida League of Cities annual conference next week, I will be there presenting on a couple issues as well. And otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for the city attorney? No. Everyone's just too quiet tonight. I'm here. Well, that's true. Almost everyone. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mr. Moore. Now we're moving on to item 6, which is the city manager report. Mr. Riefler, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start off with the storm. Again, we were fortunate. We sustained very minimal damage. Staff was here. Started sandbags on Friday, but we were here Saturday doing sandbags, and on Sunday just monitoring the storm. Happy to say our pre-made sandbags were distributed very quickly. We had enough made. We went through 1,200 bags and then made more, but we never we're at a point where we didn't have bags ready to go when someone went to pick up. Staff spends the day driving around cleaning up the debris in the streets, but that was most of the extent of what we saw. We had times when the tide was up and the rain was coming pretty hard and water was getting in the streets, but that did drain out. I just recently was out on 18th where we have some sewer infiltration, which I made the county aware of, but those drains did get blocked, so I had to pull the manhole covers off, but they are draining now, so we expect the water to recede there. Plan is to prepare for the next storm. Hopefully we get at least a normal week and weekend, but we already have the skid steer in the lot to start loading up and stockpiling sandbags for the next event. Unfortunately, there's still some power outages in Bel Air Beach, mainly between 4th Street and 5th Street. There's about 12 outages, but when small distribution lines go down in Bel Air Beach, they're not exactly the priority for Duke Energy, so unfortunately, it lasts quite a while. Hopefully they get their power back on tonight. We did lose some of the dune. If you've been out to the beach, probably a little more than 25% of the dune we got cut away from the wave action. But all in all, like I said, it was the positive side was that residents got their sandbags for this season, didn't have to use them this event, so a lot of residents had their sandbags in hand. Some other updates from the code report. The lien at 107 21st Street was paid in full by the title company, and then we reimbursed the 25% discount that was offered after we calculated the insurance. And then as far as what's on my report, Spectrum has already started pulling their wire, so hopefully their wires get undergrounded and out of the way of Duke. Expected timelines to be completed in September. And we were supposed to have the surveyors out today to start on the curb and gutter replacement. Storm delayed them, so they will be out tomorrow, starting on 14th and 15th Street. And at this point, we have drafted the language for all of the ordinances that we're proposing, and the city attorney is reviewing them, and the expected timeline to present them to council is August 19th for a work session.
Thank you, Mr. Riefler. Any questions or comments for the city manager?
Just that your notation here says fit under the spectrum pulling cables, expected to finish work in September. You see that it has over 50 hard refusals for equipment. Can you elaborate on that?
That's ongoing. That is, right now we're in the process of our utility consultants, they're wanting to put the conduit in like they did on phase 1. They're being held up because Duke wants them to have in writing that they spoke to each resident that they're requesting an easement and got a refusal from that. So UCF is doing the legwork. They're very close. A lot of the leftovers, I think they had 11 left. They're having trouble contacting because they're in LLCs and they cannot find the actual contact. We're doing everything that Duke wants us to this point, and then expecting that they provide another option, because the answer when we have a large right-of-way is the residents want equipment in the right-of-way.
I'm just wondering, is this going to delay the project, cost more to the project?
It's going to come to a decision point. Either they're going to give us the request to put the equipment in the right-of-way, or they're going to have to come here and explain where we're at and why it needs to be. So hopefully after we go through everything that they want us to do, we move forward with designing it to be in the right-of-way. Everything, to my understanding, with the undergrounding projects has been very slow moving in every city. We're ahead of the game, but yes, it's been a delay on that side.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for the city manager? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the city manager quickly went over the situation that was occurring on 18th Street, but I want to give him special kudos for doing that. The water was actually shooting out of the manhole from the sewer system. Pretty nasty stuff down there. I would say 80% of the street was full. And as you got further down to the cul-de-sac at the end of the street, it was, I didn't go down there because I'm sure it was very, very deep. But special kudos for that, Kyle. I mean, he went down there, waded in with something, and was able to clear the debris that was on the grates that would not allow the water to exit the street like it normally would. So that really helped out the people on 18th Street, so thank you.
Nice job. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, thank you, Mr. Reefer, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, now we are on to Ms. Rose, City Clerk report.
I have nothing further to report.
Okay, well, I would like to commend you on handling the first year's Big C. This is a new thing for you, and I appreciate you decorating and working with the city manager and impressing all of the barrier islands. It was a great event. They always talk about us every year. I hope it's always good, but they seem to like it. So also, thank you for taking minutes, and I look forward to seeing that report. Any other questions or comments? No? All right. So now we're on to the consent agenda. This is items 8 through 11. This is for approval of the July 1st, 2024 City Council meeting minutes, the July 15th, 2024 City Council budget workshop minutes, the July 15th, 2024 Special City Council meeting minutes, and the July 29th, 2024 Special City Council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent agenda as proposed and written.
Motion is made by Councilmember Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second is by Councilmember Shaw Elliott. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. Now we are on to the regular agenda. This is item number 12. It's for consideration of the reappointment of Citizens Advisory Committee member Tim Hollick. Mr. Hollick, are you here?
I am.
Would you like to step up to the podium and reintroduce yourself to the council?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Hollick. I moved to Bel Air Beach about 2.5 years ago. I live on Belle Isle, a little bit further off of Gulf Boulevard, around the corner. I work in Clearwater full-time, and I'm just happy to help out in any way I can with the city, given the time constraints I have from my work, but just happy to help out.
Appreciate you being here tonight, Mr. Hollick. Would anyone like to ask Mr. Hollick a question or give him kudos? Or well, I will. Thank you for stepping back up again. That's all for now. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Council, I'm going to need a motion to reappoint Mr. Hollick to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Motion.
Motion is made by Frank Banker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lloyd Roberts. Mr. Banker, you have the floor.
I believe he's qualified to be forward. Let's vote.
Would anyone else like to make a comment before we vote? No? All right. Renee, would you please call the roll?
Mayor, can we just open that for public comment if there is any?
Yep, you're right. Sorry about that. I'm getting way ahead of myself this afternoon. Would anyone like to speak? Okay, citizen comments are closed. Now, Renee, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
Mayor Gaddis.
Yes, and so it passes unanimously. And congratulations, Mr. Hollick. And again, thank you so much for stepping right up. And Mr. Moore, that's why you make the big bucks. All right, we are on to item number 13. This is for consideration of the reappointment of Park and Recreation Board member Patty Roberts. I don't believe Patty is here tonight. Is that correct?
I know her well. She is not here tonight. She's babysitting our grandchildren. So she was trying to make it. I just saw a text from her, but she's obviously not going to make it. But she's enjoyed the time she's been on that committee and would love to continue.
Okay, all right, well,
Motion to table.
is that what you like, yeah? Well, we have a motion to table this vote. Would anyone like to second that? All right, motion dies. Let's go to the citizens for comments. Please remember you are addressing the council, not Ms. Roberts. Would anyone like to speak? Nope. All right. Citizen comments are closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to reappoint Ms. Roberts to the Park and Recreation Board.
So moved.
All right, motion made by Councilmember Shaw Elliott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Roberts. Ms. Shaw Elliott, you have the floor.
Well, obviously, the family has shown a tremendous commitment to our community. She served us well. She's come up with some great ideas and has lots of enthusiasm. So I ask for her support in continuing in this role.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to comment?
I believe that past practice, though, if you're not here for a reappointment or to be put on the board, we've always tabled it to the following one.
That's not, I don't think that's necessarily true. I believe we did pass some reappointments recently, and at least one was not here. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. And unless, well, we tried to table it, it didn't work out, so it's on the floor now. Any other comments? No? All right. Renee, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
Mayor Gaddis.
Yes. All right, so Ms. Roberts is in, and Mr. Roberts, if you don't mind, whenever you get home, would you please congratulate her? I would tell her we all said thank you for serving our city. All right, now we're up to item number 14. This is for consideration of the reappointment of Board of Adjustment members Carol Conroy, Tony Gatliff, and Mark Mariano. Ms. Conroy, glad to see you're here tonight. If you'd like to step up and reintroduce yourself to the council, please come on up.
Thank you. It's Carol Connery, 3210 Gulf Boulevard. I've been a property owner for 25 years here in the city. I've been on the board for 10 years. I think it's very important to volunteer and to keep the beauty of our city and the semblance of our city, so I ask to be reappointed.
Thank you very much. Would any council members like to ask any questions or make comments?
Thanks for your 10 years.
Absolutely.
Show you the scars? No.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Ms. Conroy. Is Mr. Gatliff here tonight? I thought I saw you back there.
Council, Tony Gatliff, 2228 Denona Drive. We're in our 8th year here, and I'm just happy to serve the city in whatever capacity that I am capable of. Any questions?
Thank you. Would anyone like to make a comment to Mr. Gatliff?
Thanks for your time. One of the most generous and time-hearted guys I've ever met.
Is this being recorded? Is this?
It's public record, sir.
And eggs are very expensive.
No, I'm just kidding, but I appreciate you being here tonight, and thank you for stepping up. All right, and also, is Mr. Mariano here tonight? No? Okay, since Mr. Mariano is not here, let's go to citizens for comments. What I'm going to do after the citizen comments, I'm going to call for a motion just to bring all three in under one single voice vote, and if that's okay with the council, we'll just move forward in that direction. Would anyone in the audience like to speak?
Real quick, I believe I saw Mr. Mariano cleaning up some debris in his yard on the way here. So,
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other citizens like to speak? All right, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to reappoint Ms. Connery, Mr. Gatliff, and Mr. Mariano to the Board of Adjustments. Do I have a motion? Motion is made by Councilmember Bankert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilmember Roberts. Mr. Bankert, you have the floor.
All proven and qualified, let's vote.
Anyone else like to make a comment? All right. Renee, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
and Mayor Gaddis.
Yes. So So it's unanimous. Congratulations to all three, and thank you once again for stepping up. Greatly appreciate it. Board of Adjustments is a very, very important and sometimes very hard job to do. So thank you for all you do. All right, now we are on to item number 15. Item number 15. This is for consideration to authorize the city manager to execute an extension to the memorandum of understanding for accounting services. Mr. Riefler, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is for the services of Andrew Tess, who is our financial officer per the charter. And he has had a memorandum of understanding original contract since began services in the end of 2018. And every year, it's an automatic renewal unless either side cancels, but every year there's a 3% increase. This is just to make the council aware that the 3% increase will equate to the amount of $63,760 for the accounting services this year. And it's been reviewed by the city attorney, and I have the funding in the proposed budget and included the memorandum and the original understanding agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Riefler. Before we go to council debate, let's go to the citizens for comments on this topic. Would anyone like to speak? All right, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an extension to the memorandum of understanding for accounting services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Wood Roberts. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Frank Banker. Mr. Roberts, you have the floor.
Yeah, this is the group we've been using for a while. They're very competent. I know Kyle thinks a lot of them, and I think we should continue using them.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Would anyone else like to speak?
Just for a matter of clarification, are these for the services of, I forgot the name,
Just get a little closer to your microphone.
just for a matter of confirmation, is this contract for the services that the Loaded
Heather
CPA?
Guadagnoli. Yes, Heather Guadagnoli.
I'm sorry?
Heather?
Yes.
Yes, yes. She
Okay.
does most of the contractual work for the city under Andrew Tess.
Got it, now I understand, thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to speak on this topic? Comments, questions? No? I believe we can do this with just a voice vote. So, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, Mr. Riefler, you are authorized to proceed.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next up, item 16. This is for consideration to authorize the city manager to execute an extension of the Code Enforcement Special Master Memorandum of Understanding. Let's go back to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Attorney Susan Moore, who has functioned as our magistrate for code enforcement hearings since she was originally appointed in 2007. Every 2 years, the council needs to reappoint her position. We came up on 2 years in June 2024, and the city attorney has drafted a memorandum of understanding to cover her for the next 2 years. And her current rate is $175 per hour. That was increased in 2022 from $150 per hour to $175, but this year she's not increasing, so she's keeping the same rate. And I recommend that we reapprove her.
Thank you, Mr. Riefler. Let's go to the citizens for comments on this topic. Anyone like to speak? No? All right, citizen comments are closed. I'm going to need a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an extension of the Code Enforcement Special Master Memorandum of Understanding. Do I have a motion? Motion made by Frank Banker. Do I have a second?
Second.
by Shaw Elliott. Mr. Baker, you have the floor.
I believe she's been a very fair magistrate. She knows our ordinances. I don't know why we use the city limits.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the council? Nope. All right. We're going to do this one also, just a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Riefler, you are again authorized to proceed.
Thank you.
Item 17, consideration of resolution 2024-04. City Attorney Mora, would you please read the resolution?
Happily, Mr. Mayor, this is resolution number 2024-04, a resolution of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, approving a consumer price index indicated increase to the city's solid waste collection and disposal rates, making related findings and providing for severability and an effective date. This has been a reading of resolution 2024-04 by title only, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mora. Let's go to the citizens for comments. Anyone like to speak on this topic? Yes, sir. Please come right up, Mr. Hanson.
John Hanzik, 22nd Street. Real quick, kudos going around yesterday, checking the city. Appreciate that, I saw your Facebook post. For clarification, this increase is because of the tipping charge that the county's charging at their facility, correct? It's not our trash collector per se raising the rate, from what I read in the packet.
After you sit down, we'll have the city manager address that, because we'll go into council debate, but yeah, it's not a back and forth.
No, I understand, but I wanted to bring that out.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens like to speak on this topic? All right, citizen comments are now closed. What we're going to do is we're going to have a motion to approve resolution 2024-04, and we'll go into debate on it. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, motion is made by Kim Shaw Elliott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lloyd Roberts. Councilmember Shaw Elliott, you have the floor.
Clearly a very essential city service, and one that we need, and one that we have looked at alternatives from our prior provider, and I suggest that we adopt this.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. Mr. Riefler, would you like to address the question?
Certainly, sir. So our contract is set up, we use a consumer price index that is included as one of the documents in this packet. It's for water and sewer trash collection services in the United States. They take a year average percent change from from April 1st, 2023 through March of 2024. The percent of change was 4.96%. The contract is set up to cap that index change at 4%. So they honored our cap and only increased the collection services by 4%. The other portion of the increase is the county tipping fees, which they included the county's letter and explanation to solid waste customers, and that was a separate increase that totaled that was a 6.86% increase in the tipping fees. So they presented the calculations that, I checked all the math and broke it down. So they kept us at 4% for collection and then whatever the tipping fees. And it's written in there, whatever the county increases those fees to dump, we're going to have to incur the cost. And then I did rate calculations. So last year we increased the rates. We increased them across the board by $8 bi-monthly rate. That put us just enough to cover the cost of collection. So naturally, with the increase this year, I did the minimum increase, which is $2.50 per unit to cover the cost. We have above and beyond the collection fees, we have a revenue coming in of an additional $3,797.52. And that does cover our costs of the billing services we use, Pinellas County Utilities, mailers, they charge us for that service. So that's where the additional money goes.
Okay, just so for the record, the county went up much higher than the collection service did.
Yeah, the tipping fees went up by 6.86.
And that's, there's no alternative, there's nowhere else to take the garbage, correct?
I'd have to check the contract.
I'm sorry?
I would need to check the contract on what it says about the waste facilities.
Well, I'm just saying in general, if we were.
That's the closest facility to the county landfill.
Okay, all right, and then you said the other, the pickup fee was going at 4%, correct?
Yes, it's capped at 4%.
All right, one more time, what was the total per household that will increase?
For utility billing, a bi-monthly billing rate will increase $2.50 per household, and it shows in the resolution what the new rates will be. So my calculations actually show the old rates with the new rates. So our multifamily dumpster per unit, so multifamily went from $47.50 to $50 per unit. Multifamily can went from $53 to $55.50, and then single family homes went from $56 to $58.50.
Thank you. All right, do we have other council members that would like to speak on this topic? Mr. Baker?
6% for tipping fees went up. That's an awful high cost for a tipping fee. This county just spent, what, $315 million for a baseball stadium? And charges. I mean, it's something that I guess we don't have any choice, you know? Like you said, where are we going to take?
Exactly.
You know? But I'm just voicing my displeasure, sir.
No, I hear you loud and clear, and I totally feel your pain. Any other comments? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a roll call vote on this one. Renee, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankard.
Unfortunately, yes.
Councilmember Roberts.
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott.
Yes.
And Mayor Gaddis.
Yes. All right, Resolution 2024 passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. All right, now we are on to number 18. This is for consideration of approving the draft interlocal agreement with Bel Air Shore. City Attorney Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate the council's indulgence as I requested this be placed on the agenda. I want to be clear about where we are in this process, what this is, and what I'm asking for. As you may recall, as far back as April, we were presented, I think it was the April meeting, where we were presented with some correspondence related to the interlocal agreement between Bel Air Shore, Bel Air Beach, and some disputes that were emanating from it. The current operative interlocal agreement dates to 2003. It is in your materials. It's like a 3 or 4 page document, and frankly, I think some of the vagaries in that draft have created some of the confusion we have some 20 years later now. And also, communities evolve, and the realities on the ground quite literally have changed. And so, based on that, and as a way to resolve some of those issues, the instruction I had from this council was to work with Bel Air Shore to see if we can't find a solution in the form of a revised draft. I met with your manager, I met with Member Bankard, and a concerned resident on this issue. I've talked with their town attorney, and what is before you is just a proposed draft. This has not been presented to another community or any other body. This is presented to you tonight for some consensus direction. I'm not looking for a vote. I'm not looking for a final approval. The document may change once other people have an opportunity to look at it, but I want to make sure before I present this to anybody else that, one, my client has seen it, and two, that it addresses your concerns, and if there's anything that you as a consensus feel should be changed about this, that I get that direction now, rather than work through a document and then learn later that at no point would you have supported some of the contents of this. Much like with the sign code, this is a situation where I took a crack at it with some guidance on general boundaries or guidance, but I want to make sure that I'm capturing what you're after. And so what's been put before you, let me just walk you through the document. It is 9 pages, and you've had it for a little while, but I do want to give you a little exposition of how this differs. The 2003 agreement has some general pronouncements about the history, but it lacks detail. This approach attempts to set out not just where are we now, but how did we get here, going as far back as 1944 and the deeds that were at issue and the language in those deeds and the evolution of those transfers. It identifies the lots specifically by address and parcel number, and gives the history of the language in those deeds. And what it calls for is based on the responsibilities of those parties under the deeds, it addresses a series of issues, beginning with one, accepting the history of it and the context, so that there's never a question of how did we get here, which was part of the confusion from the 2003 agreement, I think, and the imprecise language it used. The second, it contemplates, and again, I welcome your direction on any one of these, it contemplates a survey and demarcation of northern and western boundaries, and I think that language could be improved, but to say like this is where the lots start and stop on the northern and southern limits, so there's no question on, am I on a neighboring property, am I on the lots as they're contemplated here. It addresses the beach and bathing use such that the town has the city and its residents would have the same use of the beach to the same extent that the town and its residents do. It addresses pedestrian access. It contemplates some of the current arrangements that may have not, whether or not they were explicitly addressed in the last agreement, it is the custom and practice between the parties to do certain things, and this tries to document that. For example, when our city is cleaning our beaches, it's my understanding we use our equipment to go into those lots as well and clean the beaches there. Contemplate will continue to do that, but also some remuneration for that. Contemplation of, we put in parking facilities. Those are used by both cities and to a greater extent by the town in terms of its the intensity of that use in the form of contractor vehicles and the like. So trying to capture some of that, and just different management or administrative issues that have come up over time, trying to ensure there's shared expectations and avoid any further misunderstandings as it relates to parking spaces, parking access. One of the issues that did come up was guest permits. This does away with the guest permit. That of course doesn't prevent you from moving your vehicle there and just having your guest park on your property if you have a guest in need of that, or having them use your car while they're doing that, but it's your car, that should be going there. Everything is spelled out with a clear heading, leaving nothing to chance or searching. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I think a lot of it is self-explanatory. Again, I welcome truly any feedback from this council on this draft and anything that you think needs to be addressed before I transmit this with the communication that the council is at least generally behind. I don't need your agreement with each and every clause. I don't need a unanimous approval of the whole thing right now. I'm looking for, yes, we generally support this, but we would like to see A, B, and C addressed in more depth or anything like that. And that's where we stand on this issue.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mora. Before I go to citizen comments, I'm going to explain the way that I interpreted this draft being presented to us. I'm going to ask the council shortly to just take a ceremonial vote where we do a one voice vote, and we agree to for Mr. Moore to move forward with this and continue making progress. Before we do that, though, I would like to go to the citizens for comments. Would anyone like to speak on this topic? Yes, Mr. Hanson, please come on.
John Hanson, 22nd Street. After listening to the city attorney explain in his words, I don't understand the dadgum thing about what they want from us in an interlocal agreement. That's what I'm here for. How is this going to affect us? And it's not just council, it's the residents of this city that have an input in it.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know what the time frame is in having to resolve this, but this is, in my opinion, in the nearly nearly 10 years I've lived here in this city and served on the advisory committee, my concerns as a citizen in serving. We went through the big brouhaha with the umbrellas, and that's still a thorn in everybody's side. So, you haven't told me, and certainly I don't think anybody else here would disagree with me when I say, I don't know what they're asking for in plain English. So that needs to be clarified before you all go any further.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Would anyone else like to speak? All right, council, I'm going to, we're going to go in, we're going to discuss this and probably answer a lot of Mr. Hanson's questions, but before we go into discussion, I'd like to just go ahead and get a motion to approve the draft interlocal agreement and give City Attorney Mora authorization to continue moving ahead with drafting this document and beginning negotiations with Bel Air Shore. Do I have a motion?
I would consider that motion subject to our further discussion. It is an excellent first draft, and I support the concept of revising the interlocal agreement, but we're not going to send this draft to the other side. I think we'll still have
Absolutely not.
further discussion. I just want to clarify that. Subject to that, I would second that. Or are we second or first?
You're making the motion.
I'm getting fuzzy brain, so excuse me for the rest of the evening.
Would anyone else like to make a second?
Mayor, if I may, I do want to be clear again about a few things. I have been in contact with their town attorney about this process. Neither side has made direct asks beyond the correspondence exchange earlier this year. The correspondence exchange, by way of reference again, at the time of the correspondence, they demand that we provide them funds, payment for litigation costs they incurred, which we refused to do to this point, and also to address parking permitting issues for guest permits. And that was the totality of the issues they were trying to address at that time, and they said, and they made those asks with reference to this agreement. This agreement is an attempt to incorporate the feedback and the concerns of the citizens of Bel Air Beach, and purely those of Bel Air Beach as I understand them. And again, I welcome feedback from the citizens and the council alike. For example, as it relates to the concern about umbrellas and the use of the beach, the language that I have put in this draft presently states that and forgive me, I want to get to the city's residents and property owners shall have the right to use the lots to the same extent and nature as residents and property owners in the town. The town further agrees to present to its commission any ordinances or legislative enactments necessary to ensure its code of ordinances remain in alignment with the same. So it's an idea of making sure that whatever rights they have on the beach, we have them too. That's one example. And again, this was based on feedback. I fully recognize there is room for improvement in this draft. Anything we do, we can do better. I welcome your feedback. And so what might be more appropriate procedurally is just to have that discussion. I don't know that I need a motion right now and say, and authorize me to, whether at the conclusion of that discussion, see whether it's better for me to come back with a revised draft, for me to, whatever you folks want to do at this point.
Well, we have a motion right now on the table. Does anyone want to second this, or is the motion dying? Okay, so the motion dies. What I was going to suggest is that maybe this is not the correct forum for this discussion. I would rather take this to a work session, and I don't even mind having a work session just for this, because I hear Mr. Hanson loud and clear. He wasn't, this is, for many people in the city, this is the first they've even heard of this. However, I will say, I can honestly say that whenever common sense is applied in coming up with an agreement that is fair for both communities. I would say that this is almost a perfect document. I won't say it's absolutely perfect, but it was everything that I expected it to be. And so I'm sure there's a little dialing in we could do. I would like to invite all of the citizens, anyone who would like to come and sit in on that session to hear what we're talking about. And maybe we'll even open up a brief period for citizen comments and give everyone the right to speak.
And Mayor, just again, because I think things can get lost in translation, I want to be very clear for the record what the genesis of tonight's presentation was. This was not offered tonight in an attempt to hastily advance this topic. In April, I committed to you that I would move forward to find a solution or at least work towards an amicable solution with the town of Bel Air Shore on this issue. And often when we have those kinds of esoteric commitments, it goes into the ether of like, oh yeah, it's getting worked on, it's getting worked on. And this was an attempt to show you it's been worked on, we're moving forward, we're prepared to have that discussion as a community. And I wanted you, the council, to have an opportunity to see this, have it presented publicly. There is no haste here. I have made the town of Bel Air Shore's attorney aware that I had a draft, that he didn't need to go about drafting something else. I've got something together that I'm putting before my client. So there's not, I don't believe at this moment, a race to exchange forms, if you will. This was not offered in an attempt to hastily advance this, just in an attempt to meaningfully advance it.
And whenever I saw this come up on the agenda, the way that I saw it was, well, this is pretty close. It's going to get beat up a little bit. There's going to be some amendments to the motions, and then we'll hand something off for them to look over, and I fully expect them to try to change it. So what I would do at this time is I would entertain a motion to table this. Motion is made by Frank Banker. Do I have a second? Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. All right. Any opposed? All right, good. All right, so we will, Mr. Reefer, get us on the calendar and set us up for a work session to review this.
Would you like this on a separate night than the 19th, where we're doing the code?
Yeah, I prefer only this all by itself.
Okay,
All right.
we'll set something out.
All right. Let's see here. Now we're moving on to item 19, which is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? No? All right. Now we're on to item 20, which is council comments. I'm going to start off tonight with Councilmember Bankert.
Thank you. Sit back. First, I want to thank two residents, Deborah Moore and Jim Biscoy, for contacting me about the sheriff's budget. While I mentioned this last year during budget meetings, this year I did a study which showed and confirmed those two residents' complaints that we were subsidizing Bel Air Shore's deputy because of the use of time Bel Air Shores was using the deputy. After bringing this to the floor last month to the deputy, and information by the city manager was found those residents were correct. We will now save over $24,000 per year. We're receiving a $48,000 credit of overpayments in the last 2 years from the Sheriff's Department. So I really want to commend those two residents. On flood insurance, in the National Flood Insurance Program that most of the residents use or have the only avenue for flood insurance, many residents believe, as I, that we are not getting the proper discounts noted in 2.0 of the NFIP. I went to Rick Scott's office now 1.5 years ago on this issue. While some progress or noted discounts were not being given, over 14 states that have entered a federal lawsuit over this. Last year in June, Senator Scott's last son that was working with me on this contact with me with FEMA and the NFIP now refused to discuss this any further because of the pending lawsuit which Florida and our Attorney General jointly entered into with the other 14 states. Beginning in May of this year, I saw the status of this suit, and after 8 weeks of continuously calling and emailing them, the AG office wrote back on July 25th. Dear Councilman Banker, while the court denied our motion for a preliminary injunction, the court also denied the federal government motion to dismiss. As such, we are continuing to litigate our legal challenge. It is difficult to estimate when we will get a final decision in the case. So we'll just keep paying the premiums, I guess, until somebody makes a decision. So I will now start attacking the Attorney General of the United States on this matter, addressing him. On the lots, I had 15 points I wanted to discuss tonight. On the interlocal agreement, simply what does Bel Air Beach get out of an interlocal agreement with the town? Simply, that hasn't really lived up to the existing local agreement. What benefit is it to us? We are the beneficiary, they are the trustee. The deeds clearly say those lots are given to property owners east of Goff Boulevard. As a trustee, we should not be allowing them to put their big toe into anything here. They put gates up prohibiting our egress and regress. Completely doesn't mention that in the deeds. I can't go into those lots after dark. Nowhere in the deeds does it say I should be restricted. Okay, if I want to go fishing at 5 o'clock in the morning, I should be able to park my car. We're now getting residents that are being ticketed for parking their cars there after dark. All violations of the deeds. Furthermore, they've erected signs. There should be no signs erected or anything in these lots without the consent of the license holder, which are the people of the Bel Air Beach. So I have a lot of problems with these lots because there's no penalty clause in any of the interlocal agreements, the people that don't follow this interlocal agreement. So I'm going to have a hard time accepting anything unless it completely benefits the people of Bel Air Beach. Moving on. I further had a meeting with the constituents regarding a tower in a residence yard. I further had a discussion with aides of Senator Scott and Senator Rubio's liaisons, which deal with the FCC. This has been going on now for 4 months. They put together a meeting with General Counsel of the FCC, and I will be putting this issue on our next workshop agenda, especially with a number of ordinances under review. Again, I thank God for keeping this island pretty safe over the weekend, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Next is Councilmember Shaw Elliott.
Well, I wanted to give our congratulations and thanks to the entire legal team in obtaining a summary judgment. For those of you that aren't familiar with that, that is a major and complete victory, and I don't know the matter that it relates to, but I can speculate, and I think it's a really good thing to put behind us, and so congratulations on that. And I also wanted to thank and congratulate Mr. Riefler and his whole team for how they dealt with us over the weekend. What really was presented as something that might have been more minor ended up being a rather major thing, and they coordinated things very quickly and took good care of us, so thank them for that.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw Elliott. All right, up next is Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree 100% with the workshop being the correct forum to address this. I think it just makes it easier for everybody to communicate and ask questions. Obviously, our whole intent of the workshops is so that we can spend whatever time we think is needed. Obviously, citizens are invited and can be there, but we would rather spend 3 hours in a workshop so that when we get to the actual meeting, monthly meeting, we already know, we've discussed it, it's been addressed, the citizens have had an opportunity to hear it, and it's much easier for us to move forward more efficiently at an actual council meeting. So I think it's a great idea to do it that way. I do have a question based on one of our last workshops when we were dealing with the budget, and I was just rereading that. My understanding was that Mr. Mora and our city manager were going to get together dealing specifically with the sheriff's contract. And then they, in fact, were going to get back to us regarding the best path to take at that time before any real decisions were made or contacts made by our council. Did that happen?
The matter resolved based on communications between a council member and the PCSO. I did not have an involvement in the final resolution.
Okay. And I think that's an issue, because I know the council, at least my understanding was, of what I just said previously, that the city manager and Mr. Moore were going to look into it in more detail and get back to the council before the council or anybody on the council moved forward and contacted anybody from the sheriff's office. So I'm not confident, although we did save money, and I'm not confident at this time that we were able to save the most money that the city may have saved, because we really bypassed that direction. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
No, wait a minute, wait a minute. He put me in charge of that, you were there. No, wait a minute.
He has spoken.
Yeah, but he's accused me. He's accused me of something. I don't care. He accused me of something. If you don't like the 48,000 we got back, we can object to it.
If you would like to speak.
I got it done in 24 hours, okay?
I'm going to address what you just said. I wrote a letter to the entire council, and I was asked not to send it because it was not the correct forum to do it. Instead, I decided to read the letter tonight, and it basically addresses what happened. In fact, really no need to read it, but I'm going to, because I could paraphrase it much simpler, but I'm going to go ahead and read it word for word because I was ready to hit the send button, and then I was asked not to. I want to address an important matter concerning our procedures and the potential legal implications of direct interactions with outside organizations. First, I want to express my gratitude for each member's contributions and dedication to our city. Your hard work and commitment are invaluable, and it is out of a deep sense of responsibility and care for our city and its representatives that I bring this matter to your attention. On several occasions, I have asked council members to take ownership of certain situations when they feel passionate about the subject, particularly when it involves outside organizations. I acknowledge that this was an oversight on my part and was wrong to do so. Although we have encountered several positive outcomes, such as the one that Mr. Bankert is referring to, working directly with these organizations can lead to administrative confusion, such as these two gentlemen right over here. They were left completely out of the loop until the deal was completely done. Potential legal issues and the undermining of established city processes. These actions can inadvertently expose the city to legal liabilities and diminish the transparency and accountability that we strive to maintain. To mitigate these risks, I kindly request that all future interactions with external organizations be coordinated through our city staff to include the city manager and the city attorney. This approach will not only help in maintaining a unified and legally compliant front, but also ensure that all communications and collaborations are documented and managed effectively. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Together, we can continue to serve our community with integrity and excellence. Sincerely, Mayor Dave Gaddis. So, I'm not coming down on anyone for what they've done in the past. I've asked all three of you to do some things for this council. I believe I asked you to look into, there was a legal issue that I believe that I asked you to look into. I believe I asked you to look into some construction that we were doing.
Yes, sir.
And I clearly pointed at you and said, why don't you handle that?
When I asked who's going to go after it, you said that's on you.
Yes, and that was my mistake, because I really think the correct way to do it is to always bring in the city manager and the city attorney.
If you don't like the 48 grand that we're getting in credit, refuse it and try to fight it. I don't think you have a legal recourse to do it, but you can always say, we're not going to accept it.
And this is in no way discounting what you have done.
You said a great job that day, and I appreciate it.
Yes, I did.
And he wants to take a shot at me, take a shot at me, but wait for the shot to come back.
All right. Other than that, thanks everyone for letting me get that out. And I appreciate you being here tonight, and especially you volunteers. I greatly appreciate everything that you do. And I look forward to seeing many more years of you working with this city. With that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion made by Frank Baker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that one to the living in the basement at this moment, Councilmember Shaw Elliott. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good night, everyone.